Saw my previous session, we went over this yesterday for the Kafka, the basic introduction, and how how the message structure looks like, what are the topic, the key concepts of Kafka, and what are producers, consumers, and so on. And we went through a brief example of uh, how you can leverage Kafka to decouple applications and sort of basically let them communicate in an asynchronous manner. So now the next step would be basically to spin up the Kafka locally and try to interact with it. So spinning up Kafka locally is kind of a hassle in and all in itself. So what I was planning to do is run it in a Kubernetes setting. So let me bring up the terminal, and so this is a tool called Minikube. I'll just go over it quickly. So what Minikube allows you to do is start a Kubernetes cluster, mini Kubernetes cluster, and lets you play around with it. So basically, I have already installed it, and the way it works is it will start a cluster locally, and I have installed an application called Lens to interact with Kubernetes. So this one is a Kubernetes IDE, as it describes itself on the website, and I found it very helpful rather than writing long terminal commands. I mean, you can still do it. You can interact with it through kubectl. I'm just not a fan of it, especially when you have to do it very frequently. So when you install Minikube, after you are done installing Minikube, you can use Minikube start to basically start the cluster, and I'm also going to use the Helm chart. So Helm chart is a way to install applications on Kubernetes. So I have already done it here. I think this is running for 46 hours now, so I did it some time back. Basically, the idea is to sort of have like the interaction between the Kafka and like to be able to produce and consume messages from Kafka. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop Minikube and start from scratch, and let's see. So I think that this is the command Minikube stop. So when you stop it, I think it will just don't show the cluster. So if you go to the catalog here, you'll be able to locate all the clusters and which one you are connected to. So you see when I ran Minikube stop, the Minikube cluster disappeared from here. And let's start that back up again. So Minikube start, and so you see we have Minikube right here. We're just gonna go and connect. It's not responding yet. It should respond shortly. Yeah, so now we have the whole setting. If you don't know what Kubernetes is, let me know. I can probably make some videos about that. But for now, let's consider Kubernetes as a tool to deploy Docker containers. In a brief manner, if I have to describe it, and it runs these containers in the form of pods, Kubernetes pods, and so you see there are a bunch of pods running here, and okay, so I think there are a lot of namespaces. So if I just remove all the namespaces from here, and I'll just keep the default one. So the default namespace is empty right now. Means we don't have the any application running right now. So you can use Helm chart as I described before. So Helm chart is a way to deploy the application on Kubernetes without any hassle. So you can have a Helm chart repo. You can basically install all the dependencies there, and you can create a chart basically. And you can use a tool called Helm. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Helm chart Kafka. So Bitnami is the maintainer of this for Kafka, which I'm going to use in this tutorial. This one, yeah. So Helm helps you manage Kubernetes application. Helm chart help you define, install, and upgrade even the most complex Kubernetes application, which is true. Because if you want to run a Docker container, like even the base image of Kafka, you have to do a lot of stuff with it in order to set it up completely. So with Helm chart, there are already pre-built Helm charts which you can directly use from the open source community. And on Mac, you can install it with brew install Helm. It's also available as in the Snap for people who are using Linux. And yeah, so the Kafka is basically available through the Bitnami, and they have basically maintained this. So I already ran this command. I have added the Bitnami repo on my local. So I'll just go ahead and install this. If you install it the first time, it would take some time because it has to pull the image from remote. And if you then stop the cluster and start that back up and run this command, it will have the image locally. So it will be relatively quickly when it does that. So let's see. So I'll do helm install my release. My release is just a name. I can name it whatever, like Kafka my Kafka test, let's say. If I run this, oops, I missed an L. Yeah, so if I run this, you should see some pods running. Usually there is also a nice instruction manual or readme that is basically standard output on the terminal once you run this install command for the well-maintained repositories. So as you see that for consumers, the port that basically so let me explain you how it works for the consumers. So consumers basically are the applications which have to approach Kafka in order to consume messages, and the way they approach is through something called Bootstrap Servers. And basically what it is a host name of your Kafka locally. So it says that consumers can access the Kafka with this is the name of your application, and the rest of them is how you would access it within the cluster. So if I deploy the application within the cluster, I would use this host name to basically approach the Kafka, and then for producers it's a little bit different. So it says that approach this instead of this. And this is a broker list, so this is, I think, the broker address. And it says to create a pod that you can use as a Kafka client, you run the following command. So basically it's asking us to start another pod from which we can SSH into and produce some messages. Now let's try that. So we already have kubectl installed. Kubectl is the command line tool to basically interact with Kubernetes clusters. Um, and let's first do this. So now if I show you this, there's a Kafka running here. There are only 2 pods, and so if I run this, so you see the test client is already created 3 seconds ago, and if I want to SSH into it, one way is to go through kubectl. Another way which Lens offers you is basically you can go shell from here. So you're already SSH'd into the application. Now if I do this, hopefully it will pop up. So if you see, there are a bunch of bash files here to interact with the Kafka, and let's try and use one for consuming. So I'll do another SSH just to open the consumers. So let's try that first then. So Kafka console consumer.sh, and I think I'll just do help. So let's see what options are there. So it offers us to the Bootstrap server, which is required. So for consumers, the Bootstrap server is required, and for producers, the broker list is required. And if you recall from the terminal output, it says that Kafka can be accessed by consumers via port 9092. So I'll just copy this. Oops. So I'll just paste this here. It says 9092, so I'm just going to write that. Then there's no topic yet, so first we need to create a topic. So let's use the Kafka topic sh, and I think it uses Bootstrap server, but let's make sure if I'm correct. So let's see. Okay, Bootstrap servers, cool. So Bootstrap server, and then I'm just going to copy from there. I'm just going to name this, and let's say topic is track dot vehicle from our example that we are running, and we'll say that we want to create this first. Let's see if it does that. Okay, so it says created topic track dot vehicle, and let's say if I want to list all the topics, so I'll just okay, oops, my bad. Oh man. So I can just copy until here. this has some weird issues. The terminal that lens opens for you, but I don't know why. Normal copy paste does not work. Bootstrap server, and then I'll go here and then I'll say list. So it should list all the, okay, so I have this topic called track.vehicle here. Now I'll set up consumer to consume from this topic. So our consumer is on. Let's see where the producer is at. Console producer, and then I think I need to write broker list, but I'll just verify once more. Yes. So okay, it says deprecated. You can use Bootstrap Servers. So I think we can just use that. And then for producers, it has said you can use this. So we are just going to copy paste, and then we want to produce the messages on topic track.vehicle. Let's see. So you see this arrow, this means I think we are in, but unless you type a message, you can't be sure. So let's say hello Kafka local. Okay, I may think hello fellow consumer. So now I should see this message here, hello fellow consumer. But we want to do more with it, so we just don't want to be restricted to just typing hello, and we want to be able to create the message with key and value both. So so if I want to Kafka producer, I think there's a properties file which you can use, Kafka producer, and then message key. So I think there should be something here. Okay, yeah, there you go. So you can add this at the end, and you can just type your message through and through. Let me add this and restart the producer again. Okay, let's do this. Now we can just, so what essentially we have defined is the property, so we have to pass the key, and the way we are going to pass this key is through the separator, and the separator is equal to the colon. So I think, did we copy the whole thing? Property sounds about right. Okay, so let's do hello consumer. This should receive the consumer. So what changed here? We are just receiving the value, but it parsed the message by colon and it didn't send the hello. So hello is the key, consumer is the is basically the value, and the fellow consumer is just receiving the value, not the key. So we need to change that, I think, for the consume message with key. Let's see what it returns. So I think the same thing, mostly print key equal to true, and then this. So I'll just copy this and restart the consumer again, and let's see after that what happens. Okay, now the consumer has started, and let's write this message again. The hello consumer 2. Okay, see, now we have key and value as well. And going back to our example about the vehicle's number or the license plate, let's pull that diagram up here and just okay. Yeah, so the key, we decided it to be vehicle ID, and then the location would be location ID, and let's say the 123. So that's the message that we want to give, and the timestamp. Let's say for now we'll just remove the SUV, just focus on the timestamp, and should be good. So let's uh, let's produce the messages with it. So lmn, so I would write, let's say on the producer side, the vehicle ID is lmn 2549, and then the location ID. Location ID would be, let's say 123, and then timestamp would be 2022 0209 12. What time is it? 11:18. Okay, so if we produce this, so we have the following data, and considering the partitions that we talked about, I think we can, I don't know if we can see that, but the partitions, maybe when I show the consumer groups and when I launch the application with Python to interact with the Kafka cluster, maybe I can show how the part how it basically how the key helps Kafka to decide what partition the message should go in. So yeah, so basically this was a small tutorial slash discussion about how Kafka works and how we can quickly prototype any use case with terminal, but this is not very interactive, so I'll maybe I can show you a way to capture the data in the next one. And please like, share, subscribe, comment, and share this video to anyone who is looking forward to learn Kafka. I have shared the links in the description for my social media. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.